Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Mike and Sean. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing well.
Good. Just another ho hum week in the world of pro wrestling. Not a whole lot to going on. Uh, the biggest company in pro wrestling being bought. And by the way, I went and bought some of the
The
Broken
Broken
Skull IPA. So I will.
Any good?
Oh man, it's delicious.
Oh,
The American Lager may be the tastiest beer that I've ever had.
really?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's foaming on me, so that means I got to drink it quick. But
What you do?
Wait, so
very tasty. Go ahead. What's that, Sean?
if WWE isn't going to be around anymore,
It will be.
No, it'll still be around.
Right. It's still going to be around. That's what I was trying to explain earlier.
Right.
you try to explain it to me.
I guess I was talking to your mother during that phase.
Yeah, WWE is not going anywhere. The product that you know and love, I don't really think is going to change very much. The things that could change, certain superstars may not want to work for Saudis.
Right.
And that's look, and a lot of people are talking as if that's a done deal. I don't believe that's a done deal. Nothing I've seen has been official.
Exactly.
Said, until it's official, man, anything can happen.
Yeah. It's nothing's a done deal. There's also another list of a bunch of people who could be purchasing it. And the thing is, if whoever has to purchase WWE, it's going to be $8.5 billion. $3 billion of that is Vince McMahon in his pocketbook. So, in his pocket. So that's what the big thing is, I think.
And that's why he wanted to oversee its sale, because he wanted to make sure it went to the highest bidder. It got sold, and so he got paid.
Exactly.
He's selling
And I get it.
$5 billion.
Yeah, they're going to get it. I mean, because even if it doesn't go to the Saudis, there's different groups. Like some people have said The Rock and Nick Khan might be able to get venture capitalists to buy it. Three other companies that would be a perfect fit for it if you look at it: Viacom, Comcast, or Disney.
Comcast and Disney. Where did you come up with those two?
Oh no,
those are rumored. They're
rumored. And then the Saudi government, and I even have heard Endeavor is rumored now. Who owns UFC?
I heard that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of possible candidates out there. That's why I wouldn't expect this to be done like in the next couple. It's not going to be done in the next week.
No.
How about I buy WWE?
Oh yeah, if you had $8.5 billion, sure.
Okay.
Dude, if you've got $8.5 billion, why are you holding out on us? Get us some of the high techest things that we could have for this show.
Right. I'll go back there. I'll go to the bank and say, "Give me $8.5 billion," and then I'll be in debt $8.5 billion, but I still have WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next couple months.
Yes.
This is going to take a while because it's either they're going to negotiate new TV deals, which would do up, or they're going to sell the company.
You didn't mention Fox. Why doesn't
Fox hasn't been linked?
Right. Fox hasn't been announced as a rumored link yet. I mean, they could do it probably.
Oh, sure.
All right. But the thing is, I don't know if they're as happy with SmackDown as. And the other thing is, Fox doesn't have a streaming service.
Right.
Where Viacom has the Paramount Network.
Yeah.
Disney has Disney Plus and Hulu, and Comcast is Peacock. So.
Yeah, any one of those, it's a seamless transition.
Yeah, especially Comcast.
Yeah.
I think they're the no-brainer. They're the company that has the most to lose.
I think they're definitely to me, if I had to put a front runner out there, that's who I would put out as my front. I think that would be the best for the fans, and I think
Yes.
that would be the best for WWE as a product.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have if the Saudis bought it, let's just say the rumors were correct and they definitely bought it. It's hooked, it's done, it's just a matter of the ink drying on the paper. I don't think a whole lot in WWE right now changes. I just don't think much is gonna change in you're not gonna see all of a sudden the cancellation of live events or TV tapings. That's not happening.
No.
They're gonna have all their premium live events. Everybody can relax. WWE's not closing its doors.
Correct.
What I think you could see is kind of the halting of some of the women's division and some of that movement.
If the Saudis buy it, yes.
Right. And I think that there are some superstars that are rumored to say that if the Saudis were to buy it, that they'd be out. They'd ask for their release. And one of which, maybe the most notable, being Sami Zayn.
Yep. Which, because of his background, yes.
That would be. I mean, that would be huge. And this is what a shame that would be, because this is the most success Sami's had in his entire career.
Yeah.
He's on the verge of, if he's not going to be feuding with Roman during WrestleMania season, he's going to be very much involved in that storyline of whoever Roman's working with.
Yep.
And in fact, you've seen it in a lot of live shows, in the recent months. He was working when Drew and Roman were working on their angle to go to Clash at the Castle. They did a lot of house shows with Sami Zayn working with Drew McIntyre.
Right.
And closing shows.
Or it might be Sammy's face turn time, and
it could be.
It could be Sami and Kevin against the Usos.
And that would be a great WrestleMania tag match. I mean, that would be awesome.
I think it would be.
I really, it's funny because I really don't know that there's a wrong way WWE can do this with Sami. If you keep him in with the bloodline, you've already seen that works.
Yeah.
And if you break him up from the bloodline and have him feud against them, does any part of you think that wouldn't work?
I don't think.
I think either way, they've got a license to print money with that story.
That they do. And hopefully everything stays the same.
Yeah.
Up until WrestleMania for this. Hopefully the sale, I really don't think the Saudis are going to buy it.
I don't either. And if they do, I think they'll be silent owners anyway.
Right.
They'll probably have Khan and Triple H run it anyway.
All I'm saying, no offense to Vince, he's an idiot for selling the company. It's been around for so long, and now he's just selling it.
There's
money.
I think there's another reason too.
He wants to get out of the limelight.
I think, let's face facts. Vince McMahon's 77 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's how old he is. I think there's another thing in his mind that no one's touching upon right now. And I think he's thinking, when I die, what happens? Because think about it. It's a lot easier to split money than a company.
Uh-huh.
Because, when he goes, Shane's going to try to come back in to the picture.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be a Shane and Stephanie fight over power. I don't think he wants that.
And I think he wanted to save that burden. He was an only child, really. Him and it basically, when his dad sold him the company, it was just, that was his company then.
He has a brother, but his brother was never interested.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by only child. As far as being interested in the wrestling business.
Wait.
Yeah.
Shane has a brother?
Vince has a brother.
Vince has a brother.
What's his name?
I think Rod.
You might be right. I was gonna say I looked him up one time, like because I was curious.
Yeah, I think it's Ron McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Vincent McMahon's middle name?
Kennedy. Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Right, because see that kind of Disco Inferno, I think, said Vince Sr. left the company to VKM in a tweet, and he said, why doesn't he leave it to Steph? And that kind of got me thinking maybe he's afraid of the siblings trying to fight about it.
Right. Would it then be Shane? Because I could see Shane just being like, look, okay, we inherit the company. Now we got to sell it. And Stephanie saying, well, no, we inherited the company and now I want to run it. Like, keep everything going.
Yeah.
And that being the struggle. And then would Stephanie and Triple H have the money to buy Shane out? I doubt it.
I doubt it. Yeah, that's the whole thing that I think that might be another underlining factor in Vince right now. To get out of the limelight and just to sell. Because one of my good friends texted me last night, do I think Triple H is going to walk out after Stephanie walked out? And I said, I don't think initially he will.
Triple H can start his own company.
I think Triple H is going to stay till it sells, until like the transition happens and the new owners, and then if he leaves, I think he's going to leave that.
Hold on. Not Finn Balor. Vince McMahon could have kept WWE going. Instead of having the his two kids fight, Shane and Stephanie.
Right.
Triple H could have just took the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then that's basically you're leaving it to Stephanie because they're married and
it's Stephanie's husband. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not like a storyline. This isn't part of the show. Like this is
why I said maybe you should come on the second half tonight when we were talking about this stuff.
But what's the big deal?
No,
it's not a big deal, but it's just this isn't a story that like this is like a real family that's that I think Vince is worried about it being torn apart when he passes away. And like this is like a sad reality what happens in a lot of families, and particularly very successful families.
Exactly.
You have greedy siblings who want to, they each have their own vision for either, like, say, a fortune or a company or what have you. Like, they have their vision of what they want done with it. And, like, a lot of times those differ, and those can create rifts. And so family members can decide they're going to do something to try and minimize those rifts. And I think that might be part of what's going on here.
Yeah, because let's face it, it's a lot easier to say, here's $1.5 billion to you, here's $1.5 billion to you.
Yes.
You're both happy.
I'll tell you what, I mean, look, if he wants to throw $1.5 billion to me, like, I'm not going to say no.
I'm not gonna say no either. If he wants to give us some money for talking about his product,
I will discuss his product 27 hours a day. Every day.
Exactly.
If he gives me money, I will do anything.
There you go.
All right. So we know Shane Sean can be bought. Just ask the $1 million man.
That's right.
We know he's got a price.
That he does.
Yeah, I know my price is one of these beers. Man, these are tasty.
I'm gonna have to try them.
I had to go to a place called Shanky's. It's like out near the Poconos. I had to like hunt this down.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I tried to get a hold of the company there, and I guess this is going to be me blasting them a little for not being very great at communicating. So I look on their website. It's basically like a Facebook page that is just, oh, yeah, look at all the stuff we have. And a guy I work with is like, oh, yeah, I was out there and I saw this beer because I was talking to him about it one time.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, like, you know, you should have, like, I would have given you money. You should have gotten it for me. And he's telling me about where it is. I'm like, that's a bit of a pain in the ass to get out there to that. Like, it was, yeah, it's 45 minutes from me.
Okay.
And so, like, I mean, it's right along the edge of what I feel like is reasonable to travel for something.
Okay.
And
And
I'm
you
like,
said that's up in the Poconos, near the Poconos.
yeah,
Okay. Wow.
like I guess it's probably like an hour or so from the Poco. Like, it's like halfway between, like, I live in North Wales, and
Okay.
so it's like kind of halfway to the Poconos, I guess. Like, but it's like right on the way.
Okay, that's not bad.
No.
Especially
So
if it's
I found the
taste.
place, and it's like beer heaven. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah. Yeah, so big shout out to Shanky's. I found, like, I was hunting around this place and I'm trying to find both the IPAs and the American lagers, and I found like a bunch of 4-packs of the American lagers. I bought, I think, 4 of the 4-packs. And
Okay.
then I saw the cases of the IPAs, and so I had to buy a case.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I'm
So I will
surprised.
have some for you when you come watch the Royal Rumble.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm surprised that they didn't
Can you scoot?
yeah, I'm surprised that they don't have it at that one place in King of Prussia.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
I forget the name of it right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Right. I haven't been there in a while. I didn't try there when I looked.
Yeah.
I had a local beer place that, like, when I talked to the guy, he was like, "Oh, we can order pretty much anything," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I want to order this," and then he just like never got back to me.
Right. Gotta love when that happens.
Yeah. Which the same thing happened at Shanky's, but I was just like, okay, I know somebody saw it, and then I saw an advertisement for it on their Facebook page.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, I know you have it. I will come there and I will hunt this down.
Nice.
I will say, like, and this is after I searched the whole place. It was the last spot that obviously the last spot I looked because I found it, but like. But I mean, I was just about to go up and find somebody and be like, yo, somebody's got to find this for me, because I did not drive all this way to not get this beer.
Exactly.
And then I found it, and it was like, you heard the,
I thought it'd be more like a broken glass when you heard it.
That was after I drank it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's when you cracked it open.
Yes. Oh, that tasted so fantastic, dude. When I had like I said, the American Lager may be the tastiest beer that I've ever had.
Really?
Oh, it's so good. Now I like lagers. I like Yingling, Labatt's. Like, those are some of my favorite beers.
Right.
This is very tasty, and
Very.
I do like some IPAs. Like, I'm kind of picky on IPAs.
Okay.
And so, like, it's one of those that I got told by some of my nephew's friends that they are dad beers, to which I punched them in the face. But, yeah, kids like 16, 17 years old. I had to pop him in the mouth when he said I like dad beers.
It happens. It happens.
I mean, I guess I'm at that age where I could be having a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because I'm 42. I think you're the same age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had my kids later. I got married at 30, so I had the kids later.
Yeah.
But
it would be completely amazing, if WWE got sold to Disney.
Oh yeah, you would love that.
Yeah, I'll go on Disney all the time.
Right.
To Disney.
If Disney bought them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they're a kid-friendly company now anyway. Like, I don't think they're going to go much more kid-friendly.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, the memes out there, the main event's going to be Roman Reigns versus Mickey Mouse at WrestleMania. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, they know what they have. They didn't they didn't bastardize Star Wars.
No.
You know, they're not going to do that to WWE.
Yeah, and they've done a really good job with the MCU.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic for WWE if Disney bought it. Like, I think they'd get. Like, Disney has this crazy notion of getting, you know, people who know that product and say, "Hey, run it."
Yeah.
Like, what a crazy notion.
Yeah.
Something that I know, you know, WCW did not like doing. Putting wrestling people in charge of wrestling. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Good old Jim Herd for many years. Gave the WWF the green light to run through for so many years.
Yeah, it was basically once they hired Jim Herd, it was like just a slow death of WCW.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Bischoff brought him back to life.
Yeah.
But even then, after a while, the corporate politics took over.
Yeah, then when the merger happened, like that's the AOL Time Warner merger, that's what killed WCW.
Yeah, that was the worst merger in the history of American entertainment.
Yeah, I will forever hold that as like the dark cloud that was the day the wrestling business died.
One of them, yep.
Yeah. And it's a shame. Like, you know, I know we're gonna get into our road to WrestleMania. We're gonna talk about this week's, you know, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Charlotte Flair? I actually had an idea because I know we talked about last week Charlotte Flair coming back, winning the SmackDown Women's title, and how that may have canceled any ideas of Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. I don't necessarily think that's the case.
Okay.
They could easily just have Charlotte drop the belt back to Ronda at Royal Rumble.
They could.
Like, why the heck not? Like,
yeah, and this is one thing that's really kind of getting at me.
Mm-hmm.
Is, are they just giving Charlotte these reins to catch her father's
Yes. 100% yes.
record?
Yeah, I think they project in their minds that in 2 years, Charlotte Flair will be out of wrestling and will be making babies with Andrade. And I don't think they foresee her making a big comeback, or if she does come back at all, it won't be like Becky Lynch's comeback, where she just took 18 months off and came back and went back full speed ahead. Like, I think that they see her coming back more like Trish Stratus in her, like, sporadically every now and then to put some big name over.
Yeah. Which very well could be.
Sure. Because I feel like this was never Charlotte's dream. Like, and she said it numerous times. This was her brother's dream.
Yeah, and she even said that in the new Ric Flair documentary.
Yeah.
She had a brother Reed who passed away.
That's sad.
Yeah,
it is. And whenever it really humanizes Charlotte, and sometimes it makes me mad that people like hold it so much against her. Like, people really don't like her. And it's one thing to not like the character. It's another thing to really just not like the person.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to boo Charlotte, that's fine. Don't boo Ashley.
No.
Like, Ashley, that's her real name. Like, when she talks about her brother, and like, I don't know how that doesn't hit you in the feels.
Right. It does. It does. Yeah. As someone who has lost a brother, I feel her pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different thing. Like, the character Charlotte, yes, it gets annoying how overly pushed she's been.
Mm-hmm.
When, in all honesty, I think the most organic over woman in the whole roster is Becky Lynch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it does get to a fan to a point when it's Charlotte's push through the roof. And it took Becky forever, but once they finally got her to that point, they can't turn it back at this point.
Right. And it's funny, when it was happening, like for a second, I even thought, I'm like, is this like the planned move? Like as Becky was ascending and getting that great response, like when she attacked Charlotte after Charlotte won the SmackDown Women's title against Carmella in the main event of SummerSlam, I thought, I'm like, well, like this kind of seems like an authentic, like she's going to be that badass babyface move.
Yeah.
And then I heard her saying, no, she's going to be a heel. I'm like, no, she looks like the badass babyface.
Yep.
And it's like the audience just decided, no, she's the badass babyface. I don't care what you say.
She's this generation Stone Cold.
Yeah.
You don't care what you say. This is how it's going to be.
And in the end, the people are always right.
Exactly.
And it's a beautiful thing. I really have enjoyed, like, Becky's comeback and then her going heel. I felt like it was good. Like, I felt like that was a good thing to do. It was a great way to reintroduce her. But when she's the man, like, I'm still waiting for the day. I think I've said this on the air here, where I was waiting for that promo of her coming out there and talking about and giving in her Becky Lynch, Irish accent. Being the man is not about a gender; it's about a state of mind. And it's like I was waiting for that promo, and I still think it could be something that could be perfectly delivered, like in a lead up to WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey or something.
Yeah, I think so. And I
really hope we get it. I really hope Ronda wins the belt back, and then we get Becky and Rousey at WrestleMania.
I really hope so.
Or, I mean, they could push that off to next year, and we could be there for it.
That's another idea. Because, I mean, I'm really hoping the way the promos are being done that Cody is announced for the Rumble.
I feel like they have to do, I feel like they have to do it the way they did Triple H the year he came back.
I think so.
Where he comes out and announces his return for the Royal Rumble. I have expected it to be this past Monday, but maybe it'll be this coming Monday.
I don't think it's going to be this coming Monday.
I mean, if you think about it, it would be perfect. It's Martin Luther King Day. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and now, the American Nightmare on Martin Luther King's Day could kick off Monday Night Raw or close it out with his own version of I Have a Dream.
That would work, but I'm thinking it might be the following week. Raw 30.
Oh,
right.
I should still find a way to get to that.
And it's the week before WrestleMania. I mean, Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And that would blow the roof off the place.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we're biased. There's no better sports city in America to do it at. I mean, the fans would just go absolutely bonkers.
They really would. And Cody resonates. Like, I know I've talked about how and why he resonates with me.
Yep.
And like he's just a character that brings out the rawest of emotions, pun intended.
Yeah, he does.
And like I feel like you do that on that stage, Raw 30 in Philadelphia, the most passionate sports town in America. I mean, they could have just watched the Eagles the day before make the Super Bowl. Yeah. Could you imagine the electricity in that building if the Eagles win the NFC title game and then the next night, Raw 30, you kick it off with Cody Rhodes announcing his entrance into the Royal Rumble?
Wait, I thought the championship games were Royal Rumble weekend.
No, is it the Royal Rumble? Oh, wait. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, because the way everything falls.
It used to be, the Royal Rumble was, I was still caught up in that.
Yeah.
Still, like, okay, imagine the Dallas Cowboys come to Philadelphia and the Eagles end the Cowboys season or retire Tom Brady.
That's
and
what I
then
think.
the next night, Cody Rhodes announces his entrance into the Royal Rumble.
I think if anything, I think it's going to be against Brady, to be honest.
I do too.
Yeah.
Dallas always chokes in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Either that or they get the Giants or the Seahawks. But anyway, enough football talk here. We're not the Football Smack Talk show. We're the TLC podcast.
We're the TLC. But yeah, I think if they bring Cody back in Philly, that would be amazing. Either place, Martin Luther King Day or Raw 30, bring him back and have him just blow one of his Cody-esque promos that only he can do right now.
He is a promo machine.
He is. It runs in his family.
Mm-hmm.
And
he inherited the Rhodes blood there. Like
he did. He did. I'll never forget being a 5-year-old kid hearing his dad talk about hard times.
The best promo in the history of the business.
It is. And just thinking he's going to get Ric Flair in the cage at Starrcade, and then tuning in the week after to find out Flair won again.
Yeah. It's fun, and I call the Dusty Rhodes Hard Times promo the greatest promo in the history of the business.
Yeah.
If it may have been outdone with Cody's return, his promo on that Raw was epic.
Because that really tugged at your heartstrings, that one too.
Yeah.
Because
I can't physically put the belt on the American Dream, but I can put it around the waist of the American Nightmare.
Yep.
That's pretty intense.
That it is.
I text the guy who I was doing the show with at the time, and I texted him and said, dude, my goosebumps have goosebumps.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And look, we live in an age now where we're both grown adults. Like, things rarely hit you the same way they hit you as a child.
Yep.
That hit me the way that like you talked about Dusty Rhodes and his Hard Times promo and the way that hit, like that's the way that promo hit me that way. And like it's hard as a 42-year-old man to get hit with a WWE promo like that.
It is. It's difficult. But it happens every so often.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning hits you once or twice, and you just get caught up in it, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was one of those times.
Yeah.
And then you can tell he even broke kind of character when he goes, like, he was my hero.
Yeah.
And you hear his voice crack, and it's like, oh, stop it, dude.
Yeah.
Don't cry. If you cry, I cry. Damn it.
Yeah, it's one of those moments. Like when you hear that voice crack, it's like, oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Because you can tell that's not Cody Rhodes anyway. That's Cody Runnels talking there.
Right. And that's real. And that they're the best promos when you get that real.
You don't really know, is this real or is this scripted?
Right. When you get that raw emotion, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and Cody is one of those guys that can do it. Seth can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, because Seth may be the best worker like of this generation.
Yeah, he's got to be in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I think you can either call him Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Phenomenal worker too. I think those two are above everybody else.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Claudio, he's right there too.
Yeah, Claudio.
As far as just bell to bell, Claudio is just top notch.
Yeah.
So what did you think about Austin Theory maybe dropping a hint to who he could be working with come WrestleMania season? I
I really hope it's that. I would love to see a Theory Cena match.
Yes,
I think Cena would put Theory over.
I think so too.
Cena loves this business, and
he would do right by the business. Yeah.
Right, it's no longer the Cena who buried Nexus.
No,
Everyone talks about, and I think a Cena Austin Theory match is what we need.
Because that would make John Cena would realize the power he would hold in that spot, and I think he would be. I think he would realize the importance of making the next star.
Yes,
and I think he would not let that moment get lost on him.
No.
And this is not, like you said, this is not John Cena of 2000. What was that, 9 or 10?
Yeah.
He's a little older now. I think John understands the business. He understood the business pretty well then. Right. He really gets it now.
Yeah. And I think also with him being away so much, he really has just realized what this business has meant to him.
Yeah, I mean, the business open. Any door he walks into, the rest of his life is open because of his time in WWE.
Yeah.
And he knows that. He knows WWE is ultimately home, just like The Rock knows it too. The Rock became a household name because of what he did in WWE.
Yeah, he definitely did.
And which, by the way, speaking of great promos of all time, I still think it's one of my all-time favorite promos was when Roman Reigns was building up to his first match with John Cena at No Mercy.
Oh, yes.
Dude, that promo he cut when he goes, he's like, oh, let's play this highlight from John Cena, and John Cena roasts The Rock about how he's not there and how he left and how, he's just and then at the end goes, I'll see you Sunday. I'll see you next week, movie star, and flips the microphone.
Yeah.
And Roman's little, I guess I'll see you Sunday, movie star.
And then another great build up in that first match was when Roman said, and you want to be a movie star, but I know a guy who can help you if you need it. Referring to The Rock. That was
that was good. Yes. That whole sequence, I was I remember thinking, it's October, right? We're not in WrestleMania season.
Yeah. And we actually got the match at a pay-per-view, which was amazing.
Yeah, and it delivered. It was a great match. And then they, when they ran it back, I'm glad they didn't play on that previous match.
Yeah.
And didn't talk about that because I felt like there could have been the potential for that match, the second match, to get buried.
Yep.
And thankfully they didn't do that. But then again, those two guys are just such pros. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. And they don't let people down with their performances.
Now, anything they do, those two, they might be two of the best performers this company's seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And they're underappreciated.
Especially Roman, because of that horrible in the beginning, how they just kept shoving him down everyone's throat, and people were rejecting him. They didn't want him.
Remember when he was named Superstar of the Year at the Slammies while he was injured and hadn't been WWE champion at all?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, was that the year that no, that wasn't when Punk was champion every day of that year. Not 2012. So it was 2014, something like that.
Something along that. It might have been 14.
Yeah, just before he won the Royal Rumble.
Yep, it was 2014.
Yeah.
He came back.
I remember thinking, but he hasn't even he hadn't done anything spectacular. I was like, why would he be Superstar of the Year?
Right. He really didn't deserve it, but they just kept on pushing him through.
Right. And I was always the guy, I never subscribed to the he can't wrestle thing.
Right.
Like, look, like ultimately, guys, this is a shoot. Like, they're not really fighting.
Exactly.
Like, yes, he can wrestle. Like, okay, so he doesn't like have the like he's not the technician of like a Bret Hart or a
Right.
Ric Flair.
It's in his blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks that every superstar, if they're going to be a made guy, needs to be able to do 1,000 monkey flips and Hunin Conradas and
WWF, WWE, that's never been a requirement.
No.
No, you look back.
Sometimes less is more. Like,
Less is more. You look back. One of the greatest of all time, Bruno, very limited set, but he was so over in the area. I mean, there's stories of how he went to Houston and the fans didn't like him in that part of the country.
Sure.
Because he was so used to the Northeast style.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan, I mean, look at Pedro Morales' matches.
Yeah.
He had that fiery temper. He got everyone fired up, but he had limited skill set too.
It's like, what is it? You'd say like one of the funniest things, and maybe we should do this on our road to WrestleMania when we get to WrestleMania 18. If you watch the Rock Hogan match with the volume turned off, without hearing that crowd, like, dude, can you even stay awake for it?
It's pretty bad.
Like, it's not really a good match. That crowd and the electricity the two of them gave that crowd, that made that match.
That match was purely based on charisma and not wrestling skill. That's the thing.
And that's fine. And you can have those matches. They're good.
You can have them. The fans carry them. That's the thing. I mean, as much as he's one of my all-time favorites, Steve Austin.
What did he do? Like, honestly, like when in his heyday of like the Stone Cold Steve Austin, Luthez press, a few punches, a funky little elbow thing, and a stunner.
Yeah, I mean, it was very basic, but it was the fans just absolutely juiced up and just ready to go.
They had juice.
No, like they were just all excited.
I know what you meant.
All right.
Yeah, like I mean, like put on any Austin match from the Attitude Era. Like you start off right hand. He ducks one, throws another right hand, flips the bird, attempts the stunner, gets countered. Luthez press, more right hands. Goes into a corner. Kicks him a few times, shoulder into the buckle. Then a second rope forearm, stunner, ball game. Drink beer, flip off the crowd. Everybody loves it. Goes home happy.
Exactly. That's all you have to do with him.
It's a great formula.
It really is. It's just it's a formula that all the really super over wrestlers, when you look at them, they're not technical masterpieces.
No, and they don't have to be. That's part of getting over. Is you don't have to do that.
Of it. And that's the whole thing. I mean, that's Cena. It's the attitude adjustment. It's the 5-knuckle shuffle.
The 5 moves of doom.
The 5 moves of doom.
Attitude adjustment.
Boom.
Yeah.
And it's perfect.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like the exceptions would be like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Sure. But like they got over because of what they like their in-ring work, because of what they could do. Like so they had to keep doing that because that's what got them over.
Yeah.
What got Stone Cold over was his character and his rivalries.
Yeah.
What got John Cena over was his never say die attitude and the ability to like he can take a bump like nobody's business.
Oh yeah.
Like John Cena can stand in there and take any finishing move that any guy can dish out. He can take it.
Yeah.
And he can sell it and make it look like $1 million.
He's excellent at that.
Like I watched him on if you remember the show Saturday Morning Slam.
Oh my God.
Which it was awful, but like I watched it because it was was entertaining. Like there were some funny parts. It was definitely geared for kids, which I expected it to be. But
Yeah.
they had a match, John Cena, Heath Slater, on that show.
Yes.
And John really put on a great show in that match.
Yeah, he did. And
made Heath look believable as a fighter on him. Like
the problem with that show, it wasn't the in-ring work. It was all the other stuff before you got to the match.
Well, yeah.
Like they should have in that show, and I think they should have opened with a match, got all the kid filler, and then closed with the match.
Yeah, I felt like that would have been the right formula to that show.
Yeah, that's what they could have done, and I mean, it was a great idea, especially for guys our age, to bring that nostalgia back of Saturday morning wrestling.
Sure. Oh my god. So I don't know if you remember, I had a routine every Saturday morning until I started working at Berlin Pizza at 16 years old. It was I get up 8 o'clock in the morning, and WCW had, I think it was the Power Hour.
Yes.
And then as soon as that was over, I'd flip over to WWF. Was it Mania with Todd Pettengill?
That was on at 10 o'clock. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then it was Superstar. There was Wrestling Challenge.
Yep.
And then Superstars.
Yeah, and even further back, they had, because I remember it started NWA, WWF, AWA had an hour in there. Then it went back to NWA and then WWF for 5 straight hours.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 straight hours. Like I would get up 8 o'clock in the morning, and it would be 1 o'clock before I would come back upstairs.
Yeah. And my dad would even crack up. I would get up to listen to Joel Goodhart's Wrestling Radio on WIP.
Oh, wow. Yes, I remember that.
Because that was on, I think, that was on even before the television program.
Yeah, it was like 7
in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would be hyping up the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance matches.
I remember one morning my dad came into my room and it was like 7:30 in the morning. This was like the one Saturday I decided I was going to wake up early and listen to it. But my dad's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Listen to this. They're talking about wrestling." And he's just like, Jesus. Like my dad didn't get it. Like he understood that I got it, but he wasn't into it. Like he didn't like wrestling. Like he took me to a few shows and like he was a good sport about it, sat through most of it.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't imagine taking my kid to something that that I had no interest in.
I know.
It's kudos to him. Yeah.
Because that's how
it is.
That is true. That is true fatherly love there. That
because that's how my dad. Now my brother who passed, he passed when I was 2, back in 1982. He was 13. But he loved wrestling, and my oldest brother, Jimmy, and Mark would watch Spectrum Wrestling. They used to air it live Saturdays before, and then when we were kids, they started tape delaying and showing it Sunday afternoon. But like my brother and their friends would watch every Spectrum Wrestling every month at my parents' house, and so my dad watched it with them, kind of went out of it a little bit, but he, God bless him, took me to see an ECW show. I think I told you about that.
Oh, yeah. My dad took me one time to ECW. The one time he took me, it was at the old the old ECW arena.
Yeah.
And my dad met Hatman.
Okay, nice.
And
this guy used to wear this huge Hawaiian hat.
Yeah. So I'll never forget the encounter that my dad had with him. And so my dad, being a complete novice, not knowing anything about the product. Just like since I'm like, oh hey, like we were running around because it was general admission. We were trying to find a good spot to sit,
Right.
and so I'm I guess 13 years old, and this is 1993.
Okay.
And my dad says to the guy, he's like, do you mind if we sit over here, like right behind you? Like, he's like, no, you're fine. And he goes, he's just like, yeah, just so you know, I get a little into it. And I go, I look at him like, you're Hat Man. He goes,
Right.
yeah, hey. And like, my dad's like, my dad goes like, Hat Man? And the guy just goes, yeah, it's me. And my dad's like, okay. Like he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know if you've seen me on the shows at all. He's like, no, not at all.
Has.
He's like, obviously my son has.
No, like you're pointing to Eric saying, yeah. Now that's how I grew up in the Marple Newtown area where the Sandman's from, and
Nice.
And I actually have the Sandman's autograph on a Speedo cardboard cutout because he was playing around with the kids in the kiddie pool, jumped over the fence. I said, "You're the Sandman." He goes, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "I'm a huge fan." So that's the only thing I had. So he autographed it for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And that I don't even know where it is now.
What?
Goggles. I had a pair of goggles, and it was a Speedo cardboard cutout, and that's all that was in the swim bag. So he signed that, and then he said, "Hey, Saturday night I can't get you in." He said, "But Sunday, we were doing a TV taping." He said, "Just tell them you know the Sandman, they'll get you in for free."
Oh, cool.
The night before is when Shane Douglas throws the NWA World Title belt.
Oh.
The next day, now mind you, my dad takes me after church. It's the infamous Singapore caning match between the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer. Where Dreamer takes the 10 lashes.
Yeah.
Now, my dad's sitting there with me. He goes, and you hear it in the arena. The acoustics were amazing. He goes, he's really hitting them hard with that. I'm just like, yeah, he is. He goes, these guys aren't playing like they do in WWF. And if you replay it, I had to replay it for my family. You can actually see like our silhouettes of me, the 13-year-old kid, and my dad. You can see us faintly in the background.
Oh, that's so cool. So the next day was the Singapore cane.
The Singapore cane. Yeah, and while they're caning, you can see us in the back a little bit.
That's so cool.
Because we're about like 5 or 6 rows back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think the one time my dad took me that I know I didn't get on TV that day. I got on TV a couple other times when they did tapings at the Downingtown Farmers Market.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I went there. It was funny. So at the time, the only wrestling like shirts or anything that I had an NWO shirt.
Okay.
And this is when they were just getting big. And of course, in ECW, they did not like the NWO.
Yeah.
Like they thought it was dumb. They thought the whole idea is ridiculous. There's no outside invaders. This is just nonsense. Like garbage. If you like that, you were a garbage fan. And so I'm there. I'm wearing my NWO shirt and a Flyers hat.
Oh, nice.
And so the guy looks at me, goes, earmuffs, kid. But the guy goes, he's like, how can you be so classy yet such an asshole at the same time? And I looked at him, I said, takes practice, buddy.
That it does. Now having a Flyers hat and an NWO hat, because ECW was such a different culture.
Oh, it was fantastic. God, I loved it.
Yes, you haven't seen a lot of it.
ECW was a different breed. Like, I mean, that's one of those things you'll have to watch it when you're older.
Yeah. Yeah, When you get a little bit older, you can watch the whole library. But
Older. I'm 9.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, maybe double that, and you can watch the whole library.
And when you're a teenager, because there's a lot of.
Fine, let me look up a teleportation app on your phone.
There you go.
Fine, I'm teleported. I'm not 20.
Oh, you're now
Can I
20?
watch it now?
That's amazing that you just hit 20 right now.
He aged 11 years in 9 seconds.
Yes. As you said, my teleportation app.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love it.
Well, I mean, I can't argue with that logic.
No, but ECW is just an amazing product.
Speaking of amazing products, I know that we had a tough assignment for this week to watch the first 3 WrestleManias. I did not complete the assignment. I watched the first 2.5.
Okay.
I'm not finished 3 yet.
Okay.
I did the math on it in order to make it to where we're reviewing last year's WrestleMania, the week of WrestleMania. We have to get through, I think it's like 3.5 a week.
Okay.
So I figure if every other week we're doing 7, like
Okay.
we're doing it.
You ever watched a second WrestleMania, right?
I watched when I was home from work.
How many?
I'll watch it again with you.
Good.
So you got a tough part of it because you've got somebody else you have to watch with it. You can't just watch it when you're free. Like
Exactly.
I came home today and I was just like, well, I watch NXT because I always watch it a day later.
Right.
So I watched NXT today and then I was like, well, let me put on. I finished WrestleMania 2 and which God, that was so brutal. Oh, I always hate that day that I have to watch WrestleMania 2.
It's not even the worst one though. That's the problem.
What's the worst one?
Oh boy.
27.
27's up there. Another stinker that we forgot to talk about, I think, is 7.
Oh God, 7 is god awful.
7's awful. The Roaring
Like,
20.
what's the highlight of that one?
The main event's Hogan winning the title from Slaughter, but I think the highlight of that one is when Liz comes out to save Randy from Sherry.
Yeah.
And that's really not a highlight.
I mean, really, like, I remember saying to somebody, I'm just like, man, Randy's the lucky one. He's the one that's not going to have to work here anymore. He doesn't have to watch the rest of the show.
Oh my gosh, that one was bad. 11 is just
11's brutal too. That
11.
LT Bam Bam match, like that match has not stood the test of time. I remember at first thinking, like, oh wow, this is actually a pretty good match. Lawrence Taylor is so gassed at the end of that match. It is hilarious.
It's bad. That one's bad. Let's see here.
Okay, so the goggles, the Sandman autographed.
Yeah.
They have a junkyard. Is it in some sort of trash place, or do we still have it?
It's probably in a trash place because I think it faded, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
16 was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a WrestleMania where there are no one-on-one matches.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff we're gonna have to cover. So
and it's funny because and the one in Philly, 15, I didn't feel like was very good.
It wasn't.
Like the main event was very predictable.
Yep.
And then trying to work Mick Foley into being a part of WrestleMania main event, like they did that year with him wanting to be the referee for the main event. Like, stop it! Nobody grew up dreaming of being the referee. Just stop it.
Right? Yeah, because that was supposedly has a lot of politics in the back because it was going to be a triple threat, but then they made it a one-on-one.
What match?
It needed to be a one-on-one.
Yeah.
I did the eye thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we could start at 1 and just go through.
Okay. So let's start talking about WrestleMania 1. Opens with that was what the Executioner versus Tito Santana was the opening match.
Hold on. We gotta talk about the true opener of that.
Okay.
Mean Gene Okerlund singing the national anthem.
I always fast forward. I love America. I always fast forward the national anthem when I watch the WrestleMania.
Yeah.
After the podcast, can I see me and Gino can sing the national anthem?
Yes.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah. That was.
Did you want to see that? Oh, I
was,
watched it one time, never again.
It was unbelievable. But yes, Tito Santana against the Masked Executioner.
Yeah. Which you said last week was who?
Buddy Rose.
Yeah, Buddy Rose. Yeah. I mean, it was a decent match for what it was supposed to be. Tito really put him away with the flying forearm and then just put on the figure 4. We said before it should have been Tito challenging for the Intercontinental title against the Hammer.
Which would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Based upon that time frame. And then
I don't know what Meltzer gave it as far as any kind of ratings.
I'm really not sure if he was doing all the ratings at that point.
Probably not.
Because I think that came later. And honestly, with his rating system, it's so wonked.
If you just put the name Kenny Omega in the match, it would immediately have 18 stars. And, yeah. So, okay. That match was what it was. Second match. The 9-second wink, wink, King Kong Bundy against Special Delivery Jones from Philadelphia. Hey, there's a local Philly pride.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Do you know the shortest WWE match I think is less than a second?
3 seconds.
3 seconds, yeah. They all have to at least be 3 seconds.
Yeah.
The pin.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can really say about that match.
I think we've already spent more time on the match than they actually spent in the match, so we'll just move on.
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about what the Steamboat and Bourne match.
Yes.
That was actually, I think you called it right. That was the best match on the card.
Yeah. Yeah, based upon the two performers, just a great match for that card. I mean, it's an average match, but it stands out to be, I think, the best match of the first WrestleMania.
Agreed. And again, Steamboat stealing the show to WrestleMania. Stop me if you've heard that before. And then I guess what's left to talk about from that one? The tag team title match, the Intercontinental title match. The tag titles change hands. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov beat Wyndham and Rotunda.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that match too.
I enjoy that match. Classic 80s heel move when the manager hands the foreign object.
And I loved afterwards the interview in the backstage when he goes, "Where's your cane?" He's a cane. I didn't have any cane.
Oh, that was great. They don't make them like they used to anymore with the managers.
Right. And then the Intercontinental title match, which I find it funny that was maybe 30 minutes after the Tito Santana match, and Tito is fully dressed in regular street clothes.
Yep.
And comes out and argues with the ref. And apparently Tito Santana was senior referee at the time. Apparently. And got the referee to change his decision on a pinfall count.
Yeah.
And restart the match. Hammer gets counted out. JYD keeps his undefeated streak going.
Yeah.
Who's JYD?
Junkyard Dog. And I really thought.
I figured that out.
I really don't know why that match happened. as we
Yeah, like there was no meaning behind that match. That really should have been Santana and Greg the Hammer.
Yep.
And you could have easily put JYD and the Executioner in a match. Like I think that would have been fine.
Yeah. Or just JYD against anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody else.
Like I feel like they could have found somebody else for JYD to work with.
Yeah.
All right. The rest of that, Leilani Kai and
Wendy
Richter
for the women's title.
Yeah. Boy, what a weird situation all that was. Like, and with the way everything went down then later on after Wendy Richter wins the title. Mullet and her little chicanery to get the women's title from Richter.
The Black Widow.
The Black Widow, yeah, and
I thought the Black Widow was a movie.
No, well, it is a movie, but that was the original Screwjob match.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Wendy Richter wouldn't be heard from in WWF until she got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Right. That was the next time we saw Wendy Richter on any kind of WWE, WWF television.
Yep.
So yeah, that was that women's match. You also had Cyndi Lauper in the corner of Wendy Richter.
Right.
Cyndi Lauper was in a WWE.
Yeah, part of the Rockin' the Wrestling Connection.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at the time, I remember hearing things about it and watching like MTV when they had the War to Settle the Score between Hogan and Piper. But I guess I never really realized how big a deal it was until a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like, because to me, it was just like, okay, I liked wrestling, and like, yeah, okay, MTV was pretty cool.
Right.
But, like, I guess I never really got the connection until later of how big a deal that was to making WWF mainstream.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I guess that leads us right into the main event, Hogan and Mr. T against Orndorff and Piper. And as much as I love Roddy Piper, and I know you do too, his not wanting to ever put anybody else over, I think, really kept us from, like, I feel like the match, like they could have done two matches for the main event. They could have had Piper versus Mr. T.
We actually skipped one.
Okay.
The body slam match.
Oh, yeah.
Between Andre and Big John Studd, which was kind of a nothing match.
It really was. Like, there was not much to it. Like, I think everybody knew Andre could slam Big John Studd. Like, there really was never any doubt. Like, when I watched that, I was like, wait, like, how is this a challenge for Andre?
Yeah. It's a challenge for Studd, and they didn't let him slam him.
But yeah, so like, and that was kind of entertaining. I enjoyed him like trying to give away the money and Bobby Heenan grabbing the bag of money, and it's great. Funny that what was that, $15,000 or something?
I think it was a $15,000 slam match.
Yeah, which I mean, now maybe you could buy a used car for that.
Yeah, maybe.
And okay, yeah, we can talk about now. I guess. I really thought we should have had Piper one-on-one with Mr. T and Hogan defending the championship against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, that would have been ideal. Another thing that was rumored at the time, but didn't happen was I've heard that it was going to be a 6-man.
Right, with Snuka, I guess.
And Orton, yeah. And then there's always the Piper versus Hogan for the title theory. I mean, anything. It would have been interesting if they would have done the 6-man, but with Orton's injury, they couldn't, obviously.
Right, because that was actually when the injury on his arm was legitimate.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it happened at the was it the war to settle the score or the brawl to settle it all that was second? I think it was the brawl to settle it all was the second one.
Yeah, that was the second one, I think.
That's when Orton got injured. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember that's how like the whole infamous him keeping the cast on his arm forever thing.
Yeah,
it started with a legitimate injury,
and
then he just kept it on forever,
and ever. Another one that I was kind of someone who they've said was going to be on that card. But their career in WWF was horrible, was the Freebirds.
I was just about to say, yeah, I heard the Freebirds were originally supposed to be on the card.
Right.
I don't remember if they were going to be competing for the tag titles or...
I think they were going to be... The way that I originally heard was they were supposed to be in the main event against Hogan.
Oh.
Like they were going to be the ones to turn against Hogan and the Rock and Wrestling Connection and make them the heels, but they couldn't work with the WWF for some reason. Cost them a lot of money.
I know a lot of guys were worried that, like, because of this whole, like, he was going to go global and wanted to take this thing nationwide, that if you were part of WrestleMania, like basically every other promoter was going to blackball you.
Yeah.
And so I think they were worried that WrestleMania was going to flop and then they were going to be out of business.
Yeah. Which could have happened.
Sure. And I mean, like, think about it. Guys like Hulk Hogan, like if WrestleMania doesn't hit and hit big, like there is no Hulkamania. There is no, like, there's nothing. Like,
no. There isn't.
Like there's probably a WCW network and like maybe they own the rights to WWE and they're showing the WrestleMania 1 as like you have to search real deep in the archives to find it.
Right. Like a Starcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I still can't believe WWE hasn't done. Like, I mean, with the exception of that god-awful house show that they just put on the network just to appease people, they haven't done an actual Starcade.
Me too. I mean, they didn't have anything in December this year.
I really thought that would have been perfect. Put a Starcade on, a Saturday in December.
Yeah. Give us something.
Yeah.
Use the name. You own it. Might as well use it. I mean,
right.
Finally brought Halloween Havoc back as an NXT special.
Which, look, I like the idea of doing some NXT specials, but I always hate the themed regular show.
Yeah.
Like the New Year's Evil this past week, which great segue, I guess, into that. What a weird situation there with the championship match with Grayson Waller. I guess it was just a lead in to have another match at New Year's Evil on Vengeance Day.
Vengeance Day, yep.
But like, to me, your number one contender for the NXT championship is so crystal clear, Carmelo Hayes.
Absolutely.
Why are you going to drag this out? Like, it's not like you have to drag it out to create another number one contender. You know who the next top contender is. Like, Grayson Waller shouldn't have to get two shots at Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Like, just like Carmelo Hayes beat Braun Breaker, win the NXT championship. Braun Breaker go debut at the Royal Rumble, and he can move on. And they don't get why we're doing this.
Because I don't know if they are ready for Braun for his direction on the main roster. I mean, they should be, or are they buying time? The other thing I'm wondering, are they buying time to stand and deliver? WrestleMania weekend.
Well, yeah, that's probably going to be when he drops the belt to Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah. And then he goes to the main roster. So,
I mean, I suppose, like, to me, I feel like you could have done more with, like, say, Carmelo Hayes defending against maybe Wes Lee or something like that. It stands to deliver. And Braun Breaker could have gone and debuted in WWE on the main roster. He could win the Andre the Giant Memorial, which I still wish they'd use that. Not necessarily, like, I don't think that should give you any kind of championship match, but it should be like a springboard to something, to a bigger push.
It should be like you win that, you go into the next level.
Right. Like, it should be given to some young up-and-coming star. Like last year would have been a perfect time for, like, Austin Theory to win and let him be pushed up. And, like, this year would be a great time for, like, a Braun Breaker to win and get him pushed up.
Yeah.
But instead, they'll give it to somebody who's going nowhere and will continue to go nowhere with it.
Yeah. Did they even have it last year?
Yeah. Who won it last? Madcap won it. Madcap Moss.
That's why I forgot about it already.
Yeah, well, because then Corbin just wrecked the statue or the trophy.
Wasn't that on SmackDown too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't Madcap Moss not wrestle anymore?
No, he still wrestles.
He's back. Yeah. He got injured. Now he's back.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because Karrion Kross has beat him up a few times.
Yep.
And every time when he tries to go against Karrion Kross, I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, you're just getting fed to Kross. Like, stop it.
And that's one they brought him back, and they really haven't done much with him.
Like, they had him feud with Drew McIntyre. They even had him win against Drew.
Yeah. And I thought that he's going to get sprungboard, and it's been nothing since then. So,
well, all right. I think that's. I think we've talked enough tonight.
Yes.
We can go ahead and call it a show. We'll recap. I guess. What did we say? We'll go through 7 next week, and we'll go through the rest of those. Okay. WrestleMania 2, we can just say, was an absolute chore to watch. Yep. WrestleMania 3, so far, I'm up to the midgets and Bundy and whatchamacallit, Hillbilly Jim.
Right. Yeah, that was classic when Bundy splashed the midget.
That was absolutely fantastic. I remember being a little kid and absolutely crying laughing.
Wait, someone's name was a midget?
Yes. Oh, God.
Well, what's in the background? Yeah, saying, stop saying midget, it's little people. Back in the day, it was midget wrestling. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what it was called, midget wrestling.
It was called midget wrestling.
Now it's called little people.
It's midget still.
It's called midget wrestling.
And that's what it was called. We're not calling them midgets. We're just calling it what it was.
You were calling it midget. What's the big deal?
That's what it was known as. They were an attraction, the midgets.
Okay,
it's degrading, Sean. That's why you shouldn't call them that.
Right. But yeah, that was a great match when Bundy was back. And that was one of his own teammates too.
Yes. It was fantastic because the other teammates get all upset at him, like, what the heck are you doing?
All right. Oh man.
Well, midget is not gonna do anything.
So I have to go finish watching that match, and I'll be entertained for the rest of the night, and we'll go all the way through WrestleMania 7 next week.
Okay, so
okay,
yeah,
so the tournament,
the
one built on just the main event, the Ultimate Challenge, which when we talk
another WrestleMania built on just the main event.
Right. Well, there's some scrubbed issues there too.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, there were some politically incorrect matches. I wonder if we'll be able to find them on Peacock.
I think I still have the DVD.
I still have the VHS. I'll have to now just to figure out where I can play it on.
Yeah. So, yes.
All right, guys. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next week.
All righty.
All right. Happy wrestling, everybody.
Wait, it's too late.